I get stabbed in the right arm here. One of them stabbed me. He said he killed 2 Alsatians with his bare hands. He was a chip man. I used to go about with his boy, right? It was a serious crime squad.
Hey, JD, I don't know how do you get into your house?
Go left there, mate. That's
interesting.
Temple's Carpet Factory.
Oh, aye.
Right, see that tap window in the wee building at the back? That was my ma's house, and the bottom one left was my dad. They were separated. My dad come back after the war and he wasn't right. He seen his best pal get the sheet blown up. That's me years ago when I did the old banger here, you know. No, I used to have roadrunner cars and wheels. That was me there. You could buy a motor for a tenner, and I went to the market, right? I stuck it in a spare ground in Clapham. I ended up with about 30 cars and I've got a wee caravan on it. This big Bentley drew up and the tinted window went down and the guy went like that. Who are all these old cars? And I went, they're mines, mate, they're mines. And he went, this is my land. There shouldn't be any cars on it. I says, look, you're not a reasonable guy. I think you can maybe rent a place there. Fucking Ronnie Kray, innit? I'm like, I'm looking at them in the show. You look a reasonable guy.
Aye.
McGraw bought him out of me, but how the did I know he was a gangster? But see, in 1968, they brought out a mob called the Untouchables, cops to fight the gangs, right? And they knew I was involved with the Tongs. It was me that named the Tongs. Me and Toe Elliott, we went to the pictures and we seen a film called Together the Tongs. What I done was, I said, that'd be a good name for the mob, and it stuck. I didn't really run about with them all the time, like, because I didn't like some of the things they were getting up to. You know what I mean? In the days,
yep.
It wasn't my scene. If you want to sit there, I'll chat to you. If you hear in my favourite chair, and you can ask me what you want to ask me.
I thought you'd had your Calton Tongs tap on for the last time.
That's the thing a lassie was doing, Kathleen. That was a lassie she was doing. I think she works for the BBC. She's a journalist, you know. She's selling them at the bar, isn't it? And I says, mate named that. She knows me, like, you know. You're kidding me on, Jay. I said, I'm not kidding you on. I said, me and Toilet, we went to the picture hall, the Olympia at Bridgestone, and that was the middle film, Terror of the Tongs. But there was a lot of them in there I didn't like, a lot of the lace of the Tongs, you know what I mean? Well, I was battling me because I didn't like the things that they were going up to. Funny enough, there's my first bit of guy for you there.
Oh, there you go. So that's you there, JD Calton Tongs.
That's that. My name's James Donnelly, born, right? But in the Calton, I've had a lot of nicknames over the years, right? I used to be Squinty because I was a wee turnmy, right? And then it was Don the Con when I got my boss. So over the years, my first run in with the cops, right? I was sitting up my cousin Johnny Robertson's garage. I was sitting up in the 10 feet one, a cop come along, and a big Irish, they brought in the big heavy chukters to fight the gangs in the days. The Combi and the Tongs, that was Jimmy Boyle's mom. Short trousers, 10 years of age. Cock come like, doing half that war. I says, it's my cousin's got doing half war, he says, you know. So I jumped down and he went, come here you anyway. I panicked and I ran because the police, they were frightened of the police, right? So what he done is he threw his baton and I hit me in the legs and I skidded down, skinned on my chin, my elbow and my foot, my 2 knees, right? And they were all bleeding. My dad went into the house and what happened to you? My dad says, police helped me with a bit. So my ma took me around to Tobago Street and the desk sergeant and said, I'll see him when he comes in. But never heard anything else about it. That was it, you know.
You were staying in the Calton. Like,
I've been aside in the Calton, aye. But one thing about me, Raymond, I do 100 in the barbells every morning. Doesn't matter how ill I feel. And I've always been like, at the Tongs, the beginning of the Tongs, right, before I named them, right, I took my boat up. I was a rocker guy. I like to be bought in the leather jacket and I took the motorbike up and I left it outside James Kemp. I went to see he was a chip man. I used to go about with his boy, right, in Green Street. And see, when I come out, the bike was lying kicked to her and all these ones were all dancing a bit. A guy called DM, but I don't want to mention his name, right, because his family still, we were all jumping about. No, they had that Mick Jagger hair. I was kind of short back and sides. I always kept my hair quite tidy, you know. Who was trying with the motorbike? Nah, it was me, nah. So I went for him, but they ended up battling with 5 of them and they ended up getting me down, right? 3 nights later, I sees AM walking up Claythorne Street with 2 birds and I had a motorbike chain and I wrapped it around his head. See for a month, he slowly the sprocket marks and I spun him like a fury. So what happened, we used to run a bit of cafe called the Kingsley, right? And I used to play the jukebox and I played Elvis and somebody kicked the jukebox. Didn't he tell you it was, right? So I took him out around the back. Another guy jumped in and I was battling with 2. And a woman leaned out a window with the old-fashioned Polish pistols. We ended up scattering. They run the line, the London Road to where I lived at the time. If I get stabbed in the right arm here. One of them stabbed me. I just get in the house and I patch it right through the door. I was leaning against the door. They were a wild team, by the way. Don't get me wrong. You couldn't even go anywhere, but somebody would get injured, you know. I ended up sitting about him altogether. I just got him on his own and that's it. Peter Ross, I had a cafe in the London Road. Down below it was a club called the Great Apollo. I'm only 13 at the time, by the way. The guy who owned the club went, Jimmy, called me Jimmy, dude. I wasn't
Cogs ID then, yeah. See if you take, it was a dip flare club, see if you take the weights, put them all by at night and all that, see, you can have free training. So that was it. Right. Somebody in the school, 3 guys took my BB belt off me and they battered me, right? I went to this club for about a year and again. No, to get big muscles on there, just to keep fit. They pulled me up one day and I battered the 3 of them, right? And that was it. I toughened myself up. But I'm 78 now. And I still do that to this day. I still keep myself fit, you know. But know what it is with me? It's determination to fight these by the way. That's what's in my heart. And it's not just for myself, by the way. And it's mainly because my last killed herself. Because people at Sturgeon and Salmon, McCaskill, all cover up mates, and quite bad at counting and stuff like that, right? But I'm quite sharp at other things, if you know what I mean, you know. In 1968, I used to go to the Savoy, right? I was just opened at the time. I was going out to the dancing, right? And this young guy went, "Hey, JD, what are you driving tonight?" There was a white E-type lying there, and I mean, I was kidding him, and he touched an alarm, and I saw these guys jump and tap him. So I went out and started fighting, pulling them off again. It was Untouchables, that was the mob we wrote, and they ran about in a Calmer van to bust the gangs, like the Tongs as a combi, right? I got one of my teeth kicked out and smashed my... I just started wearing glasses then, yeah. They threw me in the van. But I'll tell you how they didn't like me. I drove again and I had a coupe. I had a Ford Mustang and I had a Dodge Charger. I was a bit of a jackal lad, a bit of a flash guy when I was young. Wrist Street Motors in Surrey Street. It wasn't my money, it was a pal of me's that had the garage, right? And I used to sell like the cars. This taxi drew up one day. It was a 4x4 taxi. This guy jumped to it. He was 6'6" and he had a tartan lumberjack on and a beige cowboy hat. And he went like, "I'm looking for JD." And I went like, "What is that kind of Jewish?" I mean, "That's me, what is it?" He said, "You've been highly recommended down at the old taxi rank at the central station. I'm looking for an old bank to get me round Glasgow for the week to visit relatives. I've just got the motors for you." It was a 1600E Cortina. There was a lunch tax on it. 75 quid, by the way. She knew. The one went for 18 grand on bangers and cash. I'm not kidding you. The same motor. But somebody had one painted it black, right? So I took them down along here by Lilybank and onto the London Road and along by the 101 along there and back up Helen Vale Street. And we just get into Surrey Street and a car crashed in the pavement in front of us and another one. And I'm pulled out of the motor, right? And I seen the cowboy hat flying over the top of the motor, right? I'm speeding across the motor with a gun in my back of my head, right? And the big cowboy guy, he's lying on the back of the motor, right? It was a serious crime squad. Right. What happened was somebody robbed that. See, with the 101 that used to be a post office. Aye. Somebody robbed it with a black motor, right? Armed, right? And they thought that we... So see, by the time I explained to the cops and that what had happened, just taking the big guy American guy, I'll never forget, right? "I come from Chicago." He says, "I'm Al Capone, Miss Burnley. I've never even seen a gun." He said, "I'm 5 minutes in Glasgow." He says, "That's good you met me."
You were about 29 then?
I'd done a post office in Derby, right?
Aye.
And I got to jail, ended up doing 3, but I escaped. The handcuffed me to a big gypsy. His wrists were like my thighs, and I slipped the handcuffs and I was off. But I got captured because I didn't know Derby. Aye, that's what I was going to tell you about John Hughes, right? In Stafford, they put a big gypsy stage fighter and the two nearly killed each other. But he was a big psychopath, right? We just didn't go in together. We didn't have the same kind of level, you know. They shifted me to Leicester. I was in Leicester. That's where I met Frankie Fraser. Now, it was Frankie Fraser told me this, right? I didn't know this at the time. I said, "Frankie, put all the head cases in with me." I used to walk around exercise with him, talk to him, right? And he was a category A pizzer. They had me like a bumblebee because I had escaped that many places, right? They used to transfer me from jail to jail. I don't know why they put this guy in John Hughes. They never said anything to me. I was in the top bunk, there was bunks in there, right, and he was in the bottom one. I went like this shoes. I said, "Go and get this out." He worked in the kitchen, he was up dead early, right? I said, "Go and get this out." He's a psycho, man, he doesn't say nothing. And we used to go to the weightlifting every Thursday night, the gym, and I could deadlift 500, that was a lot of things, and the bars would be bending, right? And he used to be raging mad, because he couldn't lift, he would only get up so far. I'd trained for 13, and I could deadlift. And I said, "What's he in for anyway?" He says, "Jock," he said, "he killed 2 Alsatians with his bare hands." I said, "What?" He was doing a burglary up in Fleetwood outside Manchester and he sent the police dogs and they killed the 2 dogs. And I went, "This guy." So what happened was he was to go to court in Fleetwood for another charge, Raymond, right? A knife went missing out the kitchen. I'm sleeping all night and he's got this knife under his pillow, right? So he goes to court the next morning, right? Cut the screw's throat and slipped the handcuffs and stole the motor. No, he never slipped it out. He must have opened the handcuffs when he killed the screw, right? They took him up and he took the motor up into Derby and they broke into the house and they killed 4 of the family and raped the woman and the cop shot him dead. That's who they had in the fucking cell with me. Right. But
That's what Frankie Fraser said, joke. They don't like the jokes from the other border in here. And that's how they put all the nutcases in me. I could believe that, by the way, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Raymond, you know?
Aye. So that was
That would be late 70s.
late 70s.
You see, your life goes by that quick. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And every time I go what happened was I get done for police assault, right? I get 30 days. My dad, funny enough, I went my dad in the jail. He get done for breach of peace. He get 30 days or all right. And I've never known my dad to be in the jail in his life, right? See, when I come out, I had a Ford Cresta and another Ford, a Vauxhall Cresta and a Vauxhall Wyvern outside Tobago Street Police Station in the Calton there. I thought they'd be safe there. I found out years later on it was a cop that done classic cars who stole my 2 cars while I was in the jail. But you know what I think they done? I think they jailed me so they could steal their cars. Honest to God, that's really in reality. One of the serious crime squad, I had a Mini Cooper S in the days. One of the serious crime squad stole my wheels off my motor, and my neighbour took a photo of him taking that was a bit of blackmail I had on him. But I never ever used it. He was going with the lassie next door to me, Linda Wright. She went with big Alan Morris, and you heard the motorbike he ran the Blue Angels gang.
Aye.
Right, she went with somebody wanted me out the road so they could take the motors away, right? And that somebody in that Tobago Street cop shop, I think, right? Now that's where the trouble first started with 10 years of age. Maybe through the back legs, you know. That's for the days. And they blame me for but I was up to all the dodges. I was like a spider. I used to climb up buildings and do things that I was going to school 13 on a 500cc motorbike. Nobody. I wanted to be a motorbike mechanic in the I raced motorbikes in the 60s, right? I wanted to do these things then. I was way ahead of my time, if you get me, you know. And it's the same with a lot of things that I've done in my life, you know. I mean, people go like, say, JD, how come you're still in the East End? Why you know up in Newton Mearns or bothered? I said, I'm born and bred in the East End, right? I think a lot of people, to be quite honest with you, there was a lot of jealousy. I'll give you an instance. We were sitting in Surrey Street and I was talking to 3 punters. What it was actually guys that were film guys, and they were wanting a car to put in this film. I don't know if it was Taggart, it was some film anyway in the STV. The guy saying to me, look, you'll get the car back, but it'll not be in the same condition. So they must have been going to use it in a police chase or something like that, right now. And these creeks walked by and this way like that. Don't buy a car after him. Never even seen a guy in my life before. But that shows you the type of people there is up here, you know.
Aye. You see the car sales and that? How did you get into the car sales?
I've always been, ever since I was a kid, right, I've always wheeled and dealed. I used to rake the Midlands, right, as a way, right, and you would find things like Beanos and Dandies. Some of them are worth fucking megabucks now, right. I used to wheel and deal with the bars with bikes and stuff like that, watches and... See, in the days, when I'm talking about when I was 19, a bit older than that, I was a bit of a flash guy, and I showed you the Lotus, didn't I? You're driving about that, you can get any bird in the 60s, you know. See Billy Connolly, he's doing a documentary in the East End, right? I think it was in Jamaica Street or somewhere, right? I can't remember, it was in the town somewhere. And I couldn't believe it. I'm watching behind me, I see my motor was a different colour because I sprayed it. It was a Austin 1300 GT. I bought it off Arnold Clark. But what I done, Raymond, is I fitted a cut-out switch in it because you could steal cars dead easy in the days. I used to jump from one car to another car to get you tune to tune. Believe it or not, right? I went to the Ballan band one Saturday night and all that. This bit of stuff and I was just fucking darling. I said, they used to park it around in Kent Street at the bar. I said, the car's it was fucking gone. I couldn't believe it. There's only one person in the whole world knew where that switch was, my brother Paul, and he ran about with the tongs, the young tongs. They told one of his pals, right, they found it in Jamaica Street, a big brick in the back, outside this boutique. They were crashing the windows in and get suits in the days. I had a lot of money in suits and that, you could punt a suit like that, you know. So you know what happened? I had a local petrol car, and it ran out of petrol, didn't it? It was alright, the motor wasn't damaged at all.
Aye.
And the cops phoned me and said, we've got your car, Mr. Donnelly. The only thing is there's a big heavy brick line in the back. I knew right away what it was for. Late 70s, I come back up the road after the lineman run about. Lou's dead now, you know. But I come back up and I went like to myself, I'm not going to get back in the nick again. The car was me finished. I said, that's it. I done a turn in Derby and I had a right few quid and I took my pal to Paris with his wife and all that. But I think she stuck me in actually. See, women, fucking pure evil. It was a laugh in Paris, by the way. We just got off the train at the Paris, right? The Jordans were chasing us with a gun, by the way. And they dared guns out of the and he'd had a briefcase and all the checks. So I put my feet up in this fucking check. And I'm like, looking at the video, that's fucking my joke, right? So I gets into the bank of Deep and the check on the checker and the lassie, she couldn't understand, I couldn't understand her. She was like, I said, I'd like to cash this check. And she said, oh, I get the manager. So you didn't get the manager could talk English, you know. She came out and he went like, he was looking at the check, he was looking at me. She said, hey, you get this now? And I said, I done a deal with a guy for a motor, man. He gave me this check. And he went like, have you seen your country? You've been conned. So,
Fake check.
the check must have been, no, I don't know if it was fake, it must have been a invoice check or something for some company. And it was in French, it was for 5,000. What is it?
Francs.
Aye.
How you saying your country you've been conned? Everybody said to me, JD, why don't you write a book? Thing was, I'm giving you. I could put some of them in it and they're hilarious. It's because, no, it is. People don't get out in a book to see really what's going on in life, you know. And you've got to look for an opening. See what I've done. You couldn't do what I've done now because it's all different now. It's all electrics. This is the new con, the electric motor, right? I got Lenny electric car off my pal. They've got a shock when they go to buy a battery. You've got to, it's a Nissan, right? You've got to drop a hole in the bottom of the motor down and you've got to take it to Nissan. 6,000 quid for a battery, right? They want all the petrol and diesel cars there because they're building new flats in St. Union Square for the penthouses for the uppies. They don't want any smell of the diesel and you get me? That's how you get these zones around the town. See that old Shogun now? I can't get into town now because of these emission zones. When I was buying the bangers, I used to get into Alex, he had the gym in Sydney Street. I used to get and get petrol, you know. He's looking through the wee window where they took the money out. Jimmy! I said, aye, what is it, Alec? He said, you doing upholstery now? I had an upholstery business. He says, aye. He says, listen, I've got a chest. If you any chance of repairing it? I mean, I'd bring it round and that. They're sending a worker round for it. Right, so he goes round. And I'm okay, do you see this chair, Raymond? Like cabrio legs on it with a bone cloth and the brass nails on it. Okay, I've never seen a chair like it in my life. And you know what Chesterfield does? It's all buttoned in and drawn in, right? Only an upholsterer knows how to do it, right? So I gets Peter to upholster it. I'm going in and out, Alec. How you on my chair, Jimmy? Aye, it's coming on, Alec, you know. We'd lost one of the f***ing legs off it, right? So I'm getting into the guy, big Alex, like, how you on my chair, Jim? I said, aye, it's coming on. This is about 5 weeks. And I said, try and find this chair. Peter, I've got to look for this chair leg. I goes in one day, and Kathleen, that's Alex's daughter, blonde lassie, and she's popped her head out to be cash desk. Jimmy, my dad wants to see you. And no, she called me JD. JD, my dad wants to see you. So I goes in, young Alex lying under a lorry and that. I said, Alec, where's your dad? I think he's up in the gym, Jimmy. So I goes up to the gym. And see me open the gym, it's all glass. You can't see the door right. There's a boxing ring right in the middle of it, Raymond, right? Have you been in that gym?
Aye.
I thought that'd be, you know, do you know what I'm talking about?
Aye, what is that?
So the next thing is door opens and big Alec runs in, he grabs me with his fucking throat. Where's my chair leg? Somebody must have told him, right? He's got me by the throat. Well, that's what Ronnie Kray done to me. I told you how I met Ronnie Kray.
Yep.
Did I tell you how?
Aye.
When I was working in his jacker in the garage. Big Alec Garvey. He said, I knew you lost my chair. No, what happened? I found out about 11 weeks later. It was away up in the corner of the garage. The company secretary took it away. You know who that was? Max Nobleman. He took it away and chewed. He took it away and chewed it. All of us was the wee brass bits.
Yep.
The message I'm putting there is that he used to stop me in my cars all the time and chase me the cops. You know, they harass me all the time. That's what they cars mean there. A lot of people don't understand that. The news have all set me up with Arthur Thompson's chair. Did you see that one? That was them make me look like a gangster, right? She ordered the search of my house, Alicia Angeloni. She's a govern punter, by the way. There's a photo there of me and Arthur Thompson sitting in the chair anyway. He's at one side sitting and I'm at the other, right?
How did you come to have Arthur Thompson's chair?
Well, when I worked in the bars, people used to bring stuff in and I would buy it after them, you get me? One of my mates, Rob, he did skips and middens. He found this chair. When Fat Boy got murdered, Arthur threw the chair out. Arthur threw the chair in the bin outside his house. You know, the Ponderosa, where he stayed up in the...
Blackhill?
Up in Blackhill. That was a laugh when I done the scream went missing. The CID thought it was the real McCoy, didn't they? The guy stopped at the wall one day out there, just like yourself, and he went, I'd like to do a story on this. And I said, look mate, can't do it now, but I was suspicious of him, you know, just like that guy that came 10 minutes before you did, you know.
Aye.
He went like that. I said, no, I said, look, come back in the morning. And so what I'd done was I set that wee micro camera up that's in there. I've got this wee tiny camera. I stuck it there, right? The house was all different because the bed was down there at that time, Raymond, right? That's the camera there, Raymond, look.
Aye.
Right. He said, what's this all about? And I was telling him, I said to him, come back tomorrow. I kind of system out, if you know what I mean, you know. There's a guy called David Leslie, have you ever heard of him?
No.
I found out later on that he wrote McGraw's book. He tunes into people that have got a good story. He's talking about Ralph Moats, and I said, I think it's a copper by the, you know, to myself, you know. So he's chatting away and that, and he went like that. Arthur's chair was there, right? I went, that's it. Sitting in Arthur's chair there, and he went, Arthur who is? He says, Arthur talks. So this story went away from the law by, he went to this. And he started talking about Thompson and Ralph Moats and that. I said, this guy's trying to run me into an angle where he can get an icon out of, you know. And I found out later he was a reporter with the News of the World, right? He began to end it at any criminal something, and he would make a story. He got stabbed to by about 2 years ago. Somebody stabbed him to But he shouldn't have stood on certain people's toes, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about, you know. I filmed all this. I've got it in one of the wee clips there, and you can hear him talking about Ralph Moats and that. David Bird, that's his. He was the head of the News of the World at the time. He went like to me, "Are you selling that chair?" I said, "Well, no really." I said, "But I need some money to repair the damage to my house of police done." And he said, "Would you take 600 quid for it?" I just gave me. I'd pay 70 quid for it, half a thing there, right? David Bird put it on a raffle in the News of the World. What do you think it sold for? 3,000 quid. That's my hand to God, right? Aye. I got that bit of roof done, fixed there, and the boys took all that. See that bagger roofing? They took all that down. And I'm not breathing so much of this dust in now, but there's still a lot of dust in this house, you know. Aye. A guy went by about 2 years ago and he went like, "Hey, you head case." He sounded to me like a gypsy, you know. I just done that. I change that all the time, by the way. And see, if I wasn't doing that, I'd be driving my motor into some. That's the way it was getting me, you know, because I can't get this sorted out, which I've done nothing wrong right for the day one, you know, and that's how I think they set me up, to be quite honest with you, Raymond, you know. This guy, anyway, I see him turning about maybe 4 days later with his big £40,000 Jaguar, and when I'm up in the wall, I can't see who's down there, and he went, "JD, here's my hand, my heart, I apologise, I didn't know the story there, mate." So I spoke to guys that know you. Big Alec Morris, the boxing footballer, he said, that's him with the chair, right? He said, "I've known you man for 50 years, he's got a genuine case." And you know my mate Paul Ferris, there, a painting Paul there, did you see it? Oh. Ferris there, aye.
There we go, aye. It's a good one.
Oh, that's a wee painting I done of Paul years ago. I've got a big one upstairs, a big giant one. Aye. I've not took you up there yet. Big Alec Morrison, man. No, I've known that wee man for 50 years. He says that wee man's got a genuine case, you know. And this guy was shouting, he said, "If you didn't know the story of what happened to my lassie and how it all came about, you know," and that's what I'm telling you, you know. A lot of people go by and they think you're some in a nut job. Yep. But they're driving me nuts. And that Alex Salmon tried to get me sectioned under the Mental Health Act to shut me up. You know what I mean? See, when the 2 young cops come in here, Raymond, I had no electricity, right? All my ceilings were down there, right? And they come in with, and you could see the beams of their torches, the dust. See, when the sun shined in and all, you could see the dust all sparkling about. And I've got an infection in my lung, mate. The last x-ray I had in the Southern General, he said you've got a pull up in your lung now with breathing all this. I could see them in back. The wee lassie could have been 20, wee Paul. She said, "Mr. Donnelly, we've been told to refer you to the mental health people." And I said, "Look, mate, it's them that want to refer to mental, not me." And they come in and they went away. See, the next day, the mental health people phoned me around, and I went like, I said, "Look," the guy said over the phone, I said, "Hold on a minute, mate. I mean, what do you..." Takes 2 people to certify, do you know that? I said, "What do you mean we? You and somebody else have called?" I said, no way. I explained what happened, but I told you how it came. I don't know how it came about. I thought it was a letter with Princess Diana. My soul getting broken down in the jewellery, and they went like that, and I didn't want to know. See, after that, see the minute you mentioned the Queen at the time, I didn't want to know. I took back to Emery's, and when they come in, they took me out of my sick bed when I was really ill to search the house for something that I had never done, if you know what I mean, you know. And I'll show you the other ones round here. Just keep that rolling. We'll walk round that way. You're going away anyway, ain't you, Raymond? That's the extractor for my central heating there, you know. But that's him, the cop with the big magnifying glass. But see the original Banksy, it's a cock snorting a bit of coke. And that's the big thing there done They're making me out the rat, you know, the artist rat that hates them. But they're yellow to me, the cocks are yellow, by the way. Like say, my life story, it's people no done the things I've done, man. It's fucking... You've got to get out and about. You only live once, that's the way I look at it, you know.
Aye.
Right,
Aye.
love.
Right, JD. Good to meet you, mate, right?
Right, see you later,
I'll
mate.
catch up with you soon.